The chamber had been built for gods, or beings close enough that the distinction didn't matter. When Ambassador Reva Castillo stepped inside with 11 humans behind her, none of them dared look up. The ceiling rose so far into the haze of bioluminescent light that it felt like a second sunrise trapped in the rafters. The floor was a single flawless sheet of something that wasn't glass, stone, or metal, but somehow felt like all three. Every footstep, light, heavy, clawed, or spectral, vibrated through it. Reva looked anyway. She counted 14 species at a glance, all arranged in tiers that curved up around a central podium like the inside of a colossal throat. One delegation shimmered as pure light held in humming magnetic cages. Another was a living crystal structure the size of a cargo transport, bending the chamber's glow into drifting rainbows. And high above, clouds of sentient particles pulsed in shifting patterns the translation device in Reva's ear insisted on rendering as polite, overly patient English. The announcer, a towering reptilian with scales like polished basalt, called her forward. Ambassador Castillo of the species designated Sol3 sapient, common name, human. Even the introduction sounded like a filing code. Reva stepped onto the glowing central platform, a lone figure surrounded by thousands. The assessment began. A floating screen listed everything her species lacked: regenerative biology, natural armor, venom, psionics, multi-regional consciousness, electromagnetic senses. Lifespans short, gravity tolerance narrow, atmospheric tolerance narrow, body fragile, vulnerable. A ripple moved through the gallery, translated as sympathetic murmuring, but it felt more like the sound you hear when someone discovers an abandoned, injured creature and isn't sure it can be saved. The verdict followed: Class 1, vulnerable. Humanity would join the galaxy not as equals but as wards. A patron species would oversee their safety, approve their technologies, mediate their conflicts, decide what they were ready for. A protective cage with polished bars. Reva thanked them, and then, calmly, she asked the question no Class 1 species had ever asked. Protected from whom? The chamber shifted. The floor trembled with the weight of thousands turning to each other in confusion. Classified threats, the counselor said, information not shared with fragile species. Then she asked for the full charter, the unabridged version, and the complete list of species being considered as humanity's guardians. The stillness that followed wasn't silence, it was calculation. She had asked for the paperwork. Back in the human suite, Reva removed her translator and opened her real tablet, the shielded one the Concorde hadn't detected. Colonel Wren stood by the window, watching ships drift around the station's artificial sun. How long? He asked. 3 months, Reva said. We play the role, we comply with everything, then we stop being the three-legged dog. The humans had arrived with a strange amount of medical equipment, trauma kits, surgical tools, blood stores. Enough for a battlefield clinic. The customs officer had assumed humans just bruised easily. He should have wondered more. 3 months passed. Humans were perfect, too perfect. They attended every seminar, thanked every instructor, surrendered every device for inspection. They smiled. They cooperated. They never resisted. And the liaison assigned to them, a soft-spoken being named Nira, whose species expressed emotion as shifting light, felt something she had no name for. Humans weren't submissive. They were waiting. Reva hosted small dinners, never with powerful species, only with the overlooked. The ones who sat in the high galleries like museum furniture. She asked about their children, their homes, their lives. She remembered their names. And they blossomed around her like plants that had finally been given sunlight. And Wren was always there in the corner, silent, still watching. When human cultural media was translated, the coalition didn't know what to do with what they found. Humans didn't just have war stories, they had a relationship with war unlike anything the galaxy had seen. The narratives held horror, grief, pride, and a strange dark humor. As if humans were both the storm and the thing caught inside it. Nira confronted Reva privately. Why aren't you resisting? What are you planning? Reva poured tea. We do appreciate the protection, we truly do, but you're right, something's off. You think we're pretending not to resist, we're not. We're pretending to be harmless. And then she told Nira the truth. Humans don't talk about their wars because they never ended. Every generation inherits them. War shaped their art, their music, their language, even their mourning rituals. We didn't evolve past violence, Ravas said. We survived because of it. Nira left the meeting shaken. 12 hours later, the test came. A human colony ship, 800 civilians aboard, was ambushed by a raiding fleet, 6 warships, predators who preyed on the weak. The Concorde's rescue ships were 11 hours away. The counselor was already drafting condolences. But when the fleet arrived, the only wreckage floating in the corridor belonged to the attackers. The human transport sat untouched at the center of a glittering debris field. 40 human security officers had destroyed 1,800 raiders, 1 sprained wrist, 4 minor injuries. Ren's people had packed expecting to bleed. The raiders hadn't expected humans. The emergency session that followed shook the Concorde to its core. The Council reviewed everything: the unclassified war archives, the training methods, the medical supplies, the social infiltration. 31 minor species had quietly aligned themselves with humans. They had been listened to, perhaps for the first time. Some powerful species demanded humanity be quarantined, contained, controlled. Ren walked onto the speaking platform and calmly recited 50 years of the Concorde's buried sins, territorial thefts, secret operations, forced relocations. The chamber went still, not in fear of humans, fear of their own reflection. Ravas stood next. She didn't raise her voice. She simply told them what humanity wanted. A seat, not dominance, not protection, equality. Then she revealed what her operatives had actually done. Saved crops, taught medicine, stabilized habitats, all free, not leverage friendship. The minor delegations formed a voting bloc overnight. And when the final vote came, humanity entered the Concorde not as wards, but as full members. After the ceremony, the old counselor found Rava by a window overlooking the artificial sun. He confessed he had voted against her, not out of fear, but because she had dismantled the system he'd spent centuries building. It wasn't mercy, she said gently. It was dependence. He nodded. Your vulnerability unsettles me. It should, she answered. Later in the human suite, a newly contacted insectoid delegate arrived trembling. We were classified today, Class 1. They're assigning us a patron. Rava offered a small data chip. If you need help, call. Will you protect us? The delegate asked. No, Rava said. We'll teach you to protect yourselves. The delegate left clutching the chip like hope made solid. Ren watched her. How many more will come? Rava looked out at the vast city suspended inside the station. All of them, eventually. And she returned to her tablet, already preparing lessons for any small species brave enough to reach back. Beyond the window, the artificial sun drifted across the sky, and somewhere deep in the station, 31 species, once furniture, now a force, began speaking to each other for the first time. Not because humans were powerful, because someone had finally asked them what they needed.
Thanks for watching. If this journey through the unknown sparked and imaginations, share your thought in the comment below. Until your next adventures behind the stars. Thank you so much.